I think this is awesome. I'm excited. This aircraft has been in my life since I was 16 years old. In 1976, we picked it up brand spanking new, flew it over to Painfield without any paint on it. It's finally going to start.
I'm Eric Reese. I sell real estate for a living, but I fly and instruct in the Aerostar for fun. Join us on our travel and training adventures in the world's fastest light piston twin. My prediction is it'll start up right away. But the first thing we got to do is see, you've got the nitrogen in the prop hubs, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So it's good to go there.
Now we got to clean up all this mess so we got room to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next thing.
Huh? No, yeah, we got plenty of room, but we got to clean up all the mess that's in the way. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we'll do the right engine first.
Okay.
And obviously, if you see anything, just shout at me. I'll keep my eyes on you guys.
Okay, yeah, well, we're not going to get close anyway. But
And we've done a lot. And we've done leak checks and fuel leak checks and had the pumps running and build pressure up and all that kind of stuff. So my guess is this should start up pretty quick and easy.
So,
Clear prop.
clear. Oh yeah. It wants to start.
Close.
It's that slow starter.
Yeah.
Slow speed.
Needs some more gas.
It's okay. It's trying to wake up after 18 to 20 years.
Getting there.
It wants to go. Trying to will it along. Not a lot of smoke. I'm surprised. Yay.
After the first run, we've got to do a leak check. Check things over real carefully, make sure nothing's leaking. And that's all done. Put the cowling back on. We're ready for another start. And this time we'll run it up to develop a little bit more power to see if the turbos are working. So on a warm start, like it is, it shouldn't need any prime. So I'm just going to bring the throttles up a little bit. We'll start the right one again first. The pumps go on. And usually it's going to take a few more.
Boy, that started up sweet.
Need that much throttle. Oh, this came up. That was not working before, so that's good. So the oil pressure is slow to come up. Then the other thing that happens is the right alternator didn't fire.
started as quick and smooth.
Yeah, that was really
It's
nice.
happy. Second time it started in 20 years.
Isn't that amazing? After, what, 2 full days of after we got it over here, and we had the oil out of it, put back in, and then you went through and did, how much of an annual inspection did you actually do when we went through the airplane?
Basically, checked the engines over, kind of looked in some panels, make sure some of the fuel valves weren't leaking, some of the hydraulic valves weren't leaking, and looked through a few panels underneath the floorboards, and checked the flight controls and stuff like that. And that's pretty much all what we did. We changed the tires, put new tires on there. We went ahead and serviced the props with grease,
Okay.
and we went ahead and serviced the nitrogen also on the props. We did quite a bit on those, but not a full extent where we would tear down the airplane completely to make sure everything works
Yeah.
correctly. But the way it looks now and everything works, it's in good shape.
Okay, well that's good. So, what else did we do? We did gear swing.
Did a gear
So-
swing.
So what's your overall impression?
It's a great airplane. It's in really good shape, ran really well. Really impressed with it from sitting as long as it did. It fired right up, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see it flying and burning some holes in the clouds in the sky.
Yeah,
pretty
that'll happen soon enough.
soon. Yeah.
So what we have, so we ran the engine a couple times, started up good, did a warm engine start, which is the same procedure, just no prime, fired right up, ran smooth, mags worked, P-lead check worked. Once the oil temperature came up, the props cycled and went into the feather
Right.
check just fine. The brakes have not been seated yet, so couldn't really get it up to full static RPM. We did it one at a time, and that helped. But it was funny, as you bring the manifold pressure, bring the manifold pressure up, and the next thing, let's go, and hit the brakes,
Yeah.
pull it off,
Yep.
because the brakes just won't hold it right now.
Yeah. Could
But
see
we
that.
got up to 41 inches on both engines, nice and smooth. So that's good.
Turbos are working good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all that effort of freeing up the wastegates and the turbochargers
Exactly.
seemed to do the trick.
Yeah. It was good we did that.
Yeah. So any other advice on what you'd recommend for some of the additional testing that we're going to do? Obviously the high-speed runs, get the brakes seated in, and
My only concern would be to do, like I said, do the high-speed taxis and a good full engine run-up to make sure we see everything running correctly.
Okay. Robert, tell us a little bit about this airplane and your story on this, because I think this is pretty unique, very special in a lot of ways because of who the previous owner of this airplane was.
Okay, well, basically I started out about 15 years old, and I met this guy on this airport, actually about 14. Maybe I was at the end of 13 years old. I was this little airport bum that loved propellers. And the best part about it was there was a door, a hangar door open about this much, and I just happened to be walking by it, and there's some guy working inside there, and popped my head inside there and asked him, hey, do you need any help? And he said, sure, but I don't pay very well. I said, how much is that? He said, nothing. It's pretty funny. I remember
This is Virgil Morgan,
This is Virgil Morgan.
which is where the tail number 14 Victor Mike came from.
Yeah, and believe it or not, he was so popular that when we'd fly around, he wouldn't use Victor Mike because the tower would come back Virgil Morgan. Is that cool?
Oh, that is pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, so he had quite a reputation. He was actually one of the guys who actually on Payne Field was one of the first people that helped push dirt to help create this airport. He had a friend up in Arlington whose dad was the actual contractor for the airport. And it was a military base, as I remember at one time, or recall from what he told me. And anyway, so basically, my father died when I was 4, so this guy knew that I needed some kind of a guidance, you know. And so he got me into flying. And matter of fact, the first year I met him, I actually flew airplanes, and that's when I was 13 or 14 years old when I started flying. And very interesting man, loving man. He had the highest IQ that any enlisted man in the World War II, and it was 183. That was his IQ.
Oh my goodness! Now, what did he do during World War II?
He flew B-29, started out B-17s,
Okay.
and Then he ended up in Tinian, flew B-29s and happened to be pretty integral in the Enola Gay. And that was and then he was the 604 bomb group is what he was at. We picked it up without any paint on it. That was 1976, early 1976. So we went all over the place. This aircraft's been in Germany a couple times. It's been in the Middle East, which is interesting. Flew a lot up in Alaska, obviously. I probably have 180 hours, which I wish I would have logged because I found out later he was a CFI. I could have logged 180 hours in that thing. Damn it.
And it had been sitting in the hangar for, I think we figured about 18 years.
18 years, correct.
And then I don't know when it flew before that.
I estimated in 2004, and I believe the last flight he made was around Mount Baker.
Okay.
That
In
was his last flight.
2004?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's pretty neat.
Because that was right after his son passed away in the helicopter.
Okay.
So he kind of lost his appeal or his desire to fly.
That's because I was wondering what the reason was, why he basically just mothballed it. Yeah.
But he did take care of it,
Yeah.
which was really nice.
Well, this is, I'm going to do a little plug for Sunquest, the paint shop here at Payne Field, because this paint job, and take it from an A&P over here, this looks new, doesn't it?
Absolutely does.
I mean, it really
Good
looks,
shape of the paint.
yeah.
It was 32 years ago.
Yeah. So Sunquest did this 32 years ago. Now the airplane's been in a hangar the whole time, but it has got about 1,600 hours total time on the airframe, and I think somewhere between 100 and 150 on the engines, which we don't. I'd have to look at the logbooks again. And when they were overhauled was when Machen, now Aerostar Aircraft, was still in Spokane, and then they converted it to the Aerostar the Superstar 700. And for those of you who don't know, you'll hear the term Super 700 and Superstar 700, and those are marketing names basically that Aerostar came up with. The Super 700 has the TIO 540 U2As, where this airplane has the original S1A5s with an MM designation, meaning Machen modified. And that's what brings it up to 700 horsepower. There's a couple of other iterations. There's a 680, a 650 that was done by Machen as well. And then the other confusing one is Piper built 25 PA 60 700Ps. And that was their airplane to compete with Machen. And that airplane had the TIO 540 U2As that were counter-rotating in the opposite direction than what you'd expect, like the P-38 Lightning. Mm-hmm. So I call them outies because the downward moving blades on both engines are on the outside versus the other counter-rotating props that rotate what I think is the right way. Those are innies because the downward moving blade is.
Wonder why they
on
did
the
that.
Inside. I have to check with. It was. I don't remember.
Doesn't that make both engines critical?
No. Now let's talk about critical engine for a second. So what is the definition of the critical engine on a twin engine airplane?
Let's see. The one that actually, because they're both basically traveling the same
Nothing to
direction.
do with the direction or any of that kind of stuff. It's the engine for which, if it had failed, would cause the most detrimental loss of performance. So in that case, it's the one that's rotating inward, so it's the innie, and then the other one, because the downward moving blade is further out, is going to create more adverse yaw.
Call that the Audi?
And that's the Audi engine.
But that's the one that creates the most
Yeah,
adverse.
so the critical engine is not that one. It's the one that, if it should fail, creates the biggest detriment to the performance of the airplane. So if you have two engines that don't make a difference which one fails, neither is critical.
But
By definition,
yeah, but if they're both rotating outward,
neither of them is critical.
interesting,
by
because they're both.
definition.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter which one fails, it has the same effect on the performance of the airplane.
That's interesting. Doesn't seem
So-
like it'd be efficient.
Well, to me, though, both engines are critical.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
if you lose one of them, doesn't matter which way it's rotating, that's still an issue.
But
Fight some way or another. Which way
Yeah,
it's-
exactly.
but the thing is, you have also proved in your engine out video, this thing still climbed to 600 feet with one engine.
Yeah, it will. It depending on the temperature and the day and everything. And we were light. I mean, we were probably
600 pounds in board.
6,000, maybe 6,000 pounds, 6,100 pounds when we did that. And
You
we
had fuel. You had full fuel also.
well, not the aux tank. So just the
wings.
just the wings and the fuselage. Gross weight on that airplane is 6,850, and at 6,850, the book says that
300.
after takeoff you'll get about 350 feet a minute. But in normal situations, because you're really never using that full gross weight capability, it's a 500 foot a minute climb rate on one engine. So long as you have the 3 to 5 degrees of bank into the good engine. That difference between wings level and 3 to 5 degrees will make 200 to 300 feet a minute difference in your climb rate. What we're gonna do is go out and do the brake seating, and I gotta stop saying I say that a lot.
You don't notice it.
Oh, you do. I do. I
Oh,
really
okay.
notice it. So that's just one of those things
Okay,
making videos.
cut.
So we're gonna go.
Start over.
We're gonna go seat the brakes, which is a procedure that RAPCO defines for the organic brakes. After that, we'll get clearance to do a high-speed taxi down runway 16, which is about 10,000 feet. And with the airplane not wanting to fly with the elevator in the down position, it'll go as fast as it'll go and run off the runway. I'm not worried about accidentally getting off the ground, so we'll probably run it up to about 100 knots, and which is faster than we really need to go. And I just want to get the feel for everything, nothing weird going on, and just use a normal takeoff procedure without flaps, and then let it run for a while, and then bring the power back nice and easy. You don't want to pull it off dramatically unless there's an emergency. And slow it on up and then come back.
Let's see how it goes.
Yep, so as long as it feels all good, just like normal, I'll be ready to take it to Coeur. If you like our content, don't forget to ring the bell, subscribe, and like. Stay tuned for the next one.
Central ramp at Golf 1.